Hey, this is Christopher McCore from Wholeness Geeks, and welcome to Meditation Happy Hour, which happens every Friday at about 11 a.m. Mountain Time, and the video gets posted on the Facebook Wholeness Geeks page, including the Wholeness Geeks group and some other groups I'll talk about later. Meditation Happy Hour is where I share meditations, processes, and perspectives, both traditional and modern. Today, I'm going to share what I call the Namaste practice. Now, Namaste is a word that's been absconded by Western pseudo spiritual practices, and maybe pseudo is not the right word. But what I want to say, the point I want to make is that the true meaning of the word namaste has been misconstrued or just kind of brushed over, and that's what I want to. That's one of the things I'll be talking about today. So namaste is basically, it means I bow to you, but what happens in this bowing is that the divine human in me is bowing to the divine human in you. And so this is a practice of invocation, of bringing forth the divine humanness in humanity. And so it's a very profound, far-reaching practice. I realized it's it's the profundity of the practice. I've realized it for a while, but I found myself just forgetting to practice it. I would, except for some, you know, more rare moments when I would just like, oh yeah, right, that's what I need to be doing. But most of the time, I'd just kind of be moping around in my, uh, you know, my grumpy humanness. Um, so the way that this practice has sort of crystallized for me, the way that came about was I was going to a workshop in Las Vegas, and preparing for the workshop, I was forced to review what I was going to be contributing. And in that review, I needed to look at, for myself, I needed to look at what is the basic way that I contribute to humanity, just without really doing very much, exhibiting, skills or uh, just in my basic, beingness. Um, and I realized that Namaste, this practice, that was the way, but I still didn't have uh, a, a, a clear and um, consistent method for doing that. And so when I went to the workshop, and in the process of, okay, how am I going to do this? It came to me what this method is, and that's what I want to share with you today. Um, so just excuse me for a minute, just getting my notes in order here. The reason this practice is so important is um, because it can lead to a shift in humanity. It can lead to the necessary shift in humanity, where we move from being individuals to and not leaving that behind, but at the same time being a collective, a cohesive collective species. So the what I want to share now is the framework for doing that. And I'm going to share my screen to show you a chart that will give you a clear notion of the steps involved here, the components, and yeah, just a way to kind of look at it visually and to maybe map it out and to remember it. So we're going to start with number one, soul kernel. So soul kernel is a basic daily life practice and a meditation. It has 4 parts. I'm not going to go into it real deep because I've done that many times here on Meditation Happy Hour. So if you would like to have a deeper instruction regarding that, go back and look at past videos on this page, this Facebook page, the Wholeness Geeks Facebook page. Okay, but what, in brief, what soul kernel is, it's a portal. It's a way to create a portal for one's soul to come into the physical body, and it's a consistent. For me, this is a consistent portal, a consistent method. And it starts with the dantian, which is the physical center of the body, 3 fingers below the navel, 3 fingers in. And combined with the dantian at this location in your body is pulse. Now, pulse is it's one of the 3 body cycles that what I consider one of the 3 body cycles, which also includes respiration and sensation. And in a way, it's a subset of sensation. Pulse, the biggest example of pulse in our body is our heart beating. But I find that I can get a real, I can get my finger on the pulse, so to speak, by putting my fingers, I don't know if you can see this, I'm gonna shift my screen here, but this place right here, it's called the xiphoid process. Here's my sternum, the bone, and right where the bone ends and it's soft there, that's called the xiphoid process. And if I put my fingers here, I can feel my pulse there. And I can actually, if I look in a mirror with my shirt off, I can actually see the pulse there. So that's just, to give you an idea of how to locate the pulse. I've been practicing meditating. I've been meditating on the pulse for decades now. So, I have that developed, but you can feel the pulse anywhere in your body, even outside your body. The same way you can do that with respiration or sensation. What we're going to do is we're going to take that pulse down to the dantian. Okay, so we're going to feel the dantian, feel the pulse, feel the pulsation in the dantian. Now we're going to add another element, the 6-pointed star, the interlacing triangles, the key of Solomon, the Star of David. We're considering this as a yantra. A repeating sound is a mantra. A repeating visual is a yantra. And so the what we're doing is we're going around the sides of the triangle. In other words, there's 2 triangles, one facing up and one facing down, right? The one facing up symbolizes evolution, the one or matter going into spirit, and the one facing down is involution, spirit moving into matter. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna follow the sides of the triangle, the bottom, so we're gonna start with the upward facing triangle, the bottom side, the right side, the left side, and then we're gonna do the downward facing triangle, right? The bottom side, the right side, the left side. And so we're gonna move around these sides of the triangle. But what's driving us, the movement around, is the pulse in the dantian, right? So we're feeling the pulse, right? So that's the third element. Now the fourth element is a mantra, and the mantra is Om Mani Padme Hum, which is 6 syllables. So it associates with the 6 sides of the triangle. And that mantra basically means the universe is found in the center. Essentially, that's what it means. So moving around the sides of the triangle, we're not only driving with the pulse is driving, and we're not only following the sides of the triangle, but we're saying silently that mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum. Okay, so that's the soul kernel. And so that's like the first step of the method. Okay, so now with that as a sort of a resonating foundation, we're going to practice. So when you're in the world and you're interacting with humans, you can do a practice which I call listen to learn. And listening to learn is based on the idea that most people have opinions, and most people really want you to know what their opinion is. When you're having a conversation and somebody says something, it's like what they respond back with is their opinion. And very often conversations can get stuck in opinions going back and forth, and especially if those opinions are different, right? Well, a way to kind of sort of sidestep that whole loop is with what I call listening to learn. Now, listening to learn is there's several things you can learn by listening. First thing is opinion. It's like, okay, so what is this person's opinion? Now, usually what you're going to find, when you actually listen to their opinion and you don't, respond with your own opinion, is you're gonna find what that person wants. You're gonna find like their desire, right? And the next thing that you're gonna find is the obstacles to that desire. And then the next thing after that you'll find is their wounding, is how they've been wounded, and how this kind of what they want, and then the obstacles, and how that's been thwarted. And so that's the next thing that you'll find. And then I'm missing one. I should have reviewed this first, but after that, what you're going to find is the person's goals. You're going to find what they truly want in life, based on what they desire. Oh, I know what it is. It's the need. You're going to find out after the obstacle. You're going to find out what a person actually needs, right? You don't always get what you want, but you get what you need. And then their wounding will become obvious. Then you'll find their goals. And this is where you can really help somebody, right? You can help people. You're helping them to their divine humanness, but in the process, there's steps along the way, and one is you're going to help them discover what their ministry is. So a ministry is, for instance, my mother had a ministry of she looked for the specialness, the uniqueness in each person she met, and she, supported that, and she did that to the point where people would, like, when she was older, living in a retirement community, she would work at the thrift store, and the reason she worked there, and the reason people came in to some people came into the thrift store, was to just be with her, to just talk with her, and have that interaction where they were being supported for their specialness. So that was like, I saw her doing that, and I just recognized that as a ministry, and I actually made a plaque for her, the Saint Margaret Compassionate Ministry of supporting people's uniqueness. I forget the exact words. So that's a ministry. This in a way, this Namaste practice, what I'm doing here, sharing this with you. This is my one of my ministries, is to spark the practice of Namaste in the world. So that we can invoke the divine humanness in each other. So, and then one step further with this listening to learn is what I call the big action. So I believe everybody has a big action if they reach far enough into what they're here for. It's like, and that what that involves is, because of who you are as a person, your perception of what is most needed in the world, right? That, coupled with your unique skills, creates your big action. And I think, a characteristic of a big action is that it's one, impossible, seemingly impossible, and that two, that it's would be seemingly impossible to actually implement. I'll give you an example. I'll share my big action. I realized this at the end of last year when I was sick. I actually spent 11 days in the hospital, but as I was realizing that there was some serious things going on with me, I started asking myself, well, if you don't have much time here, what is the thing that, like, the thing that could most help the world? And what I saw was that if there was a critical mass of people who their consciousness was aligned with the core of the earth being, the mother of us all. We've all come from the core, and it's also that which is beyond each of our own individual egos. If there was a critical mass that would be their consciousness would become aligned with the core of the earth, it would, that critical mass would create a shift in humanity, so that we would shift from being perpetrators of life on earth to being stewards of life on earth. So that's my big action. But because of my background, I've been meditating over 50 years, and I'm very involved with I turn things into, whatever it is that I discover, I turn it into a system. And this would it's so that I call that the Gaia Core project. And excuse me, Namaste is actually step along that path of the Gaia Core project. So that's the big action. And then, essentially what we're doing is we're with the listen and learn is we're discovering, we're helping a person discover their wholeness. Okay, so that's listen to learn. And part of that, this is like part of the method. This is part of the path, what I call the path. And then this, we're starting with divine humanness. Kalki is is a Sanskrit word, and it means the new avatar. It's describing the new avatar. Now, the curious thing, now, avatar is another word, like Namaste is another word that's been absconded by the West and is misconstrued. Avatar in the traditional Hindu sense is an advanced human who comes to Earth to teach humanity what they're capable of. Jesus, Buddha, Babaji, we can just Sri Aurobindo. We can just keep naming them. Those are avatars, right? But the difference about the new avatar is that it's not a single person. The new avatar is a collective avatar. In other words, we are the new avatar. This, when we recognize, when we invoke when we recognize and invoke our divine humanness, we become Kalki. We become the new avatar. So, so we have the soul kernel, and now what we're adding to the soul kernel is this element of heaven, this element of basically it's ISA. It's an acronym. Uh, uh, it's a word, it's a name, but it's also an acronym for infinite sensate spine absolute. So our spine, is a very important part of our body, and it's important not just physically, but it's important spiritually. And so, but generally we think of the spine running from the base, our perineum up to, well, it goes up to the head and connects with the head. Well, spiritually, the spine can be infinite. It can extend out the top of the head and extend out the base of the spine like a tail. So the spine is infinite, and this I mentioned before, the body cycles. One of the other body cycles is sensation. So if you use sensation as a way, sort of where we're using pulse down in the dantian with the soul kernel, here we're using sensation with this infinite spine. and and then absolute, referring to what the Buddhists call shunyata, what the Hindus call para-Brahman. Brahman is God, and para is beyond God. It's the void, it's nothingness, it's the black hole at the center of the universe from which everything has come and everything will eventually return. That is replicated throughout the universe as above, so below. So that spine becomes absolute, connects to infinity and becomes absolute. And there may be kind of a like the black hole at the center of the universe. There's a blackness to it. It's that absolute, and that there's nothing. It's before creation. So that's the another element in this method. Now, when you set up this resonance, we're setting up a metaphysical resonance, through the soul kernel and Isa. There is this term, first thought, best thought. This was actually coined by Allen Ginsberg, and it's basically a practice of not editing yourself, and just whatever comes to mind, you just, either write that or you say that. Well, in this case, we're saying this, and this is it's a way that when you're in this resonance and you're interacting with people, you rely on this principle, first thought, best thought, to create the connection between people, to create the invocation of the divine human. And this is particularly applicable to me because I'm a person who socially tends to second guess what I have to say, what I have to share. And so to rely on this practice for me helps to keep conversations going and helps to dive into the depth of our divine human experience. So so that's another one of the paths, the activities on the path: listening to learn, first thought, best thought. And now we have another part of this, the kind of the philosophy of Namaste, which is global mission. And this is probably self-evident that this is a, I've misspelled mission there. Here, let's go ahead and correct that. There, better. Okay. Global mission. This is it's a ministry. It's something you do, and you do it in general in your life, and all of us are doing it. And when all of us are doing it, then we reach that critical mass and we actually achieve the divine humanness. Okay, so I'm going to add one more part to if you can see the Enneagram. This is the Enneagram, this geometric figure, and it's there's one of the ways of looking at the organization of an Enneagram. You can see this triangle right here is very obvious. Well, there's actually a triangle going on here. It's just that this side right here is invisible, right? But there's actually these three things relate to each other. These are the components of the method: soul, kernel, Isa, and Pan, and I will explain that in just a minute. But there's another triangle here. This one going from here to here. This line's invisible, and then here to here. And this is the activities on the path of Namaste. Okay, so the third part of the method is Pan. And Pan is essentially the core of the earth. It's, that's it. It's the core of the earth. If you can actually put your attention. So what we're doing when we combine this with soul kernels, where instead of the location being the Dantian, now we're going down to the core of the earth. So we've kind of gone from the individuality of our own soul, and we're going to is the collectivity of the group soul, right? The soul of our species, which is, and you can, a good way, I found a way to sort of visualize this is to think of yourself as a giant body, and so the core of the earth is actually your Dantian, and the earth is actually in your abdomen, and then you extend way out past even the earth. And I got that came from a book, Time Space Knowledge by Tarthan Tolku. So this is the method, and I'm going to just talk about this, the path part of this, and then we're going to go actually practice this method for a short while. So the path, this is an interesting notion that came to me. The way I kind of discovered started along the way I started discovering the method, not the notion of Namaste, but the method. I was it was a few weeks ago, and I was up at a with my wife. We went to a music festival in the mountains, and there was a couple of Afro pop bands that were playing. So it was good dance music, and we were dancing. And most people when they're dancing, dancing can be like there's people have to kind of step through their inhibitions, and it's just stepping through it, the inhibition enough to just dance in place. That's a lot. That's enough for most people. Um, but once you get comfortable dancing in place, then you tend to start moving through the crowd, weaving through the crowd, because then you you can have more influence and you can be influenced by others. So we were dancing, and as I was moving through the crowd, I have this method of dancing, in which I look into inside. I look at the inner shapes inside of myself, and I dance. I express those out. So there's this visualization element going on in my dance method, and so when I started moving through the crowd, I started seeing this it was like a blue line on the ground, which was like the choreographic path of weaving through this crowd. And because the uh, along with my dance method, the inner shapes of the component of inner shapes, there's also the Isa and the Pan, the infinite sensate spine absolute, and the core of the earth. And as I was moving, I realized, oh, this is how I share Namaste. This was actually the first way I discovered it, is having that connection with heaven and earth, and just moving amongst humanity with that. And so I afterwards I was thinking about it. I was thinking, well, that's like a template. That choreographic path is like a template. It's like if I took that idea and put it like in a social situation, then I'm like moving through, say, at a dinner party, moving through a crowd of people, um, and following, just intuitively following this path of, and this intuition kind of leads me to where I need to go in order to invoke Namaste in the people that are there. So that's the third component of these activities. You have listen to learn, first thought, best thought, and this choreographic path that you can actually, trust your intuition and see like a line on the ground to follow, to lead you to where you need to go in order to invoke Namaste. And okay, so that's the layout of the framework. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just for 3 minutes and 33 seconds practice the soul kernel, Isa, and Pan. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to. So once again, just to review what this meditation is, and this meditation, just as you know, it starts as a meditation, but then you take the meditation out into the world. So it's basically what we're doing here is we're putting our attention on the core of the earth, the pulse, with the pulse, and we're following the sides of the triangle, right? The pulse is driving around the sides with Om Mani Padme Hum, but we're feeling the um, that's combined with the infinite sensate spine absolute, with this the spine that's infinite and with sensation, and it's there's the absolute, or the blackness of the absolute is combined. It's like a luminous black, So that's the meditation. And we're going to practice that for 3 minutes and 33 seconds. And just, seat yourself comfortably. I'm standing right now. You can stand, you can, yeah, I'd say either stand or sit. And let's begin. Okay, we're back. Just making a note here. Okay, so just some things to recognize, pay attention to. You probably noticed me kind of shaking a little bit. Um, I call that jolting, and I find that happens when my consciousness is kind of like moving into a moving out into you know kind of a vaster arena, and that consciousness is coming into the body. There's like, the body is like, it's 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 jolting with that influx of new energy, and it's just part of the process. um, this is what I have found, is that when sort of moving from the individual, like the soul kernel, to the nam, to the isa and the pan, the more universal, that there's psychologically, there's shifts that happen and have to be integrated. you know that it might be disorienting, or you might, I found that I like, there's almost like a relaxation of in discovering this Namaste. It's like, oh, it's like I don't have to be compensating. And in that comp in that dropping of compensation, there's that can be misread by people as being maybe not caring, or being remote. So there's just like there's things to be worked out from practicing this, and that makes sense. Um, so what just to kind of reiterate what we're doing and why we're doing it, is we're moving. We are collective. We are divine humans, right? The word human, actually, man, Hu is Egyptian, and that means divine. So it's built into us. We just we've forgotten that we are divine also. Besides being, like a mammal, we're divine mammals. And and we have that, because we have that potential, we anything short of that is in a sense, it's a we're not living up to our full potential, and so we're not cohesive as a species. Every other species on Earth is cohesive as a species. They know who they are, and how they fit together, and what they're, why they know what to do. They know what to do. We don't know instinctually how to live our divine humanness. And as we become more conscious of our divine humanness, we will, that level of knowing will infuse our instinctual, our like, like geese have, like they have this instinct for how to migrate. This how to be divine humans will become part of our instinctual field. Rupert Sheldrake refers to as the morphogenetic field of a species. It will become, through the reaching a critical mass with enough people, it will extend throughout humanity. So, and now, in just in terms of when to practice this, I find, at least at this point, that it's not a 24/7 thing. It's something I practice when I'm with people. Otherwise I practice just the soul kernel, or other things, meditations, and creative methods and things like that. So when you're with people, but it could be like on a Zoom call with people, it could be at a concert, could be while dancing, could be while out running, and or when you're in a gym, you're with people. So whenever there's that opportunity to resonate collectively, that's when practice this. So I will, so there is, I've created a song that goes, that it's a Namaste song. And so I will, when I post this video on Facebook and other places, I will I will comment with the song so that it's there along with this video. And I will also put the chart along with it. In fact, I will put the chart as the thumbnail for this video. So once again, this is Christopher McClure from Wholeness Geeks, and I will post this, just so you know, I'll post this in the Wholeness Geeks group. These are all Facebook groups. Wholeness Geeks group, the uh, the Gaia Core group, and the Welcome to the Shift Show group. These are all Facebook groups. We'll post this, make this post there. So once again, Christopher McClure from Wholeness Geeks, and this has been about the Namaste practice, and this has been Meditation Happy Hour. Thanks for watching and listening.